All right, let's try to do this under 4 minutes. Template specialization. We have learned about template and how we can have template parameter. That is to have two templates, sort of like that. But template specialization is pretty simple, and we can show how it is useful using this example. So first, we have a classic template one that we have learned already, and it's pretty simple. So why not go through this line by line to see what's going on. First, we created a template and we named it Tesla because Tesla is the best car company, right? And then we created a class, and under the Spunky class, under the public section, we created a constructor. Now, constructor is something that runs automatically when you call the object of the class, and we will see how it comes into use later. And this constructor has a parameter, takes a parameter, takes in a value of x, and this x has a type of Tesla. Now, this type hasn't been specified yet, but we will see what it will be in the future. So, right. So, what the spunky constructor does is taking x and printing out x is not a character, and that's all to the spunky constructor. Now, if we move down to here, this is an example of template specialization. It's a bit different but works similar. We start by creating a template, but instead of giving the template a name like Tesla or Toyota, or any car company, there's nothing in the point in the triangle brackets. You don't put anything in here, and that's because we don't need to give um, we don't need to give this time we don't need to give the type a name because we're going to be telling the program what it is explicitly. So let's move down to here. We have created a spunky class, and we have made we have stated what the class will return. So what type of data the class will return. And we see char. Well, char simply means character. Character is just something that prints out on the screen, and it itself doesn't mean anything to the computer. But when you have a number like 7, the computer knows it's a number counting from 1 to 7. But when you have a character 7, when the computer sees it, it's not going to know that it's a number. The character 7 simply means a character, like an image to the computer. It doesn't recognize the value in it. So this is a bit different. And instead of giving Tesla as the data type, like we do with classic template, in template specialization, we state what type of data it returns. Okay, so now we move down to public. Under the public section, we have made a constructor which which takes in a character type data, and we name this x, and it prints out x is a character. Okay, so now these are our two constructors, and if you remember how constructors work, let's move down here. Int main spunky double object one. Now this is something that we haven't covered before. I forgot to tell you guys. Well, I just learned that before you call an object, you can state what type of data you want the Tesla to be. You can name it anything. You can name it any type, such as integer or doubles or character like this. But since we want a double because it has a decimal point, we type double here. So this is basically you telling the computer what type of data the Tesla will hold, and it will hold a double. And here you may be quite confused to what it is, but if you remember how constructor works, like I said before, you simply state the class, except this time you have this bracket, and after the class you created an object. We have named this object object1, and it takes value of 7.22. So that's all to it. Now down to this line. Well, this line works similarly. If we take that out, you're gonna realize that the program is not gonna properly run. But when we include this, um, the program knows that we're going to be returning a character data type. So when we input the value q, the data q is inputting as a character, which doesn't mean anything, like an image, like an image. So what we have done is similar, stating the class, stating the type, despite we have already stated once before up here, we have already made it to character. But down here we have to set it again. And object2 is simply another object that we used to call the constructor with. And the constructor takes q, the character q as the data, as x. And another thing to note that when we input q in here, we use a single quotation mark instead of these. You're going to realize that a double quotation mark is not going to work. Well, I don't know why they do a single quotation mark. Maybe it's something different. So with these two lines, we call the constructor. And with those lines up here, we tell them what to do. So this is template specialization. In a nutshell, you tell the program what Tesla means. You tell the program what your template, what type your template is supposed to be. You can make a character, you can make an integer. Before, the program would just automatically match up a suitable type to your input data, but now you can choose whatever type you want it to be. So for example, we can change this to integer and the program will still run, but it will just run differently. As you can see, the program prints out 7 is not a character, but instead of printing out 7.22, it's printing out integer because the integer is a full number that doesn't have decimal places. So that's all to template specialization. It's a smarter way. It gives you freedom over controlling your data. And thank you. Goodbye.